Tomorrow, everybody's gonna make sure we bring it.
Bring what?
Bring our warm-up. There's something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, great.
All right. Today we're going to talk about relations and dependency. For those who are just joining me, I'm a day ahead of your class.
A what?
A day ahead.
What's that?
A day ahead. That means that your class is behind me. You can't keep up.
Okay, I understand.
A day ahead. So we're going to have to review over some important facts. For all the ones who are with me, we talked about the Cartesian plane. And all that is this right here. Our graph, what we graph on. It is a flat surface that has an X and Y axis. That's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here we have a positive and a positive. Positive, positive. Quadrant 2, we have a negative and a what? Positive. Quadrant 3, we have negative, negative. And then quadrant 4, we have a positive and a negative. That's what we talked about Cartesian plane. We also talked about domain and range. Domain are my which values? Anybody remember?
No.
Anybody remember?
Remember what?
Domain is my X values. Sweetie, you want to comment up there every time I say something? Huh? You have to comment up there every time I say something. It's okay. We're not in church. I don't wear that collar on me.
What is that?
You just repeat everything I say.
Oh.
Okay? You have your domain or my X values. Range is my Y values. Domain. Domain. X values and range, Y values. And values just mean numbers. It's just my number. Now let's talk about independent and dependent. Does the gas being in your car depend on how far you drive, or how far you drive depend on the gas in your car?
How fast you drive depend on the gas.
Correct. Does how much you study depend on what your grade is, or does your grade depend on how much you study?
Depend on how much you study.
Okay. Does the time you go to bed depend on how much rest you get, or how much rest you get depends on what time you go to bed?
How much rest?
Yeah, you know. You see what I'm talking about, dependent and independent? Okay. How many hours I work depend on how much I get paid, or how much I get paid depend on the hours I work.
Depend on the hours you work.
Depend on the hours I work. That's all they're talking about, independent, dependent quantity. Independent is still domain. Range is still going to be your dependent. They're all the same thing. They're all the same thing. Now, relations and dependency, we learned that a relation is just a set of order pairs. They're just X and Y. X and Y. That's all they are. Now, when we're talking about this type of stuff, it says a mathematical relation expresses a dependent relationship where the quantity depends in a systematic way on the quantity. Just like we talked about how many hours of sleep you get. Depends on when you go to bed, or when you go to bed depends on the hours of sleep. What did we just say? The very first. Very good. So, let's talk about the important parts. You might want to underline these. Depends in a systematic way on another quantity. Depends on a systematic way. Let's see, what's a good example of a systematic way? Have you ever watched a movie and they have like they have a conveyor belt, and they might have they have a person on this part and a person on this part, and they have to, this person might have to put a leg to the chair. Then this person person over here has to put the back to the chair. So it goes in order from this to this. If this person doesn't put the leg on the chair, and this person comes up and put a back on the chair, is the chair complete?
No.
No. So it has a system to it.
What is this?
Huh? No, just the chair. We put it there.
What is it? You criticize? Hey.
I said we want to put it there. Okay, it says in some cases there's a cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. That was when I was talking about the gas and the car. Okay? In order for the car to move, it has to have what in it?
Yeah.
Gas. Alright? Where the cause is an independent variable and the effect is a dependent variable. Example, lake travels will rise 2 feet if it rains 15 inches in the watershed. So what happens? In order for it to rise 2 feet, it has to do what? Has to rain. In order for it to rise, it has to rain. Alright. In other cases, there's not a cause and effect relationship. There can still be an independent and dependent relationship. Important information. Independent and dependent relationship. Now, I want to have that underlined. In this type of relationship, either can be independent variable, which then forces the other to be dependent. Henry has an arm span of 64 inches and a height of 66 inches. They say that you are as tall as your arms are if you spread them out. So if they were to measure me from fingertip to fingertip, that should be how tall I am. And I got really long arms. Yeah, I got really long arms. But you gotta go from the middle finger to the middle finger. Believe me, it works. Yeah. If we were to go in and we get a measuring tape and we measure from my finger to the other finger, and then you come down and you measure, of course not in these shoes, but if you measure me when I'm barefooted from my toes all the way to the top of my head, that would be the same. So one don't depend on me. So how far I am across from each other does not depend on how tall I am. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just a relationship between each other. And then another one is it your foot? Is it
Your foot. It's the same length from
your wrist?
your wrist to your elbow.
That's how big your foot is.
That ain't true on me.
From your wrist to the inside of your elbow is supposed to be how big your foot is. I'm not for sure about that, because if that's the case, woo-wee.
I've done it.
First.
It ain't true. Everybody
When you go home, take your shoes
Hey,
off.
when you go home, go get your little paper. Hey, you should be able to get a ruler and do it.
Hey,
Most girls can get a ruler and do it. Most girls can. Like I wear a size 11. I have a long foot. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I had a little foot, I'd fall over. It all bounces out. The outside of the shoe is going to be longer because it has to fit over. All right.
It's pretty close.
It's close. Let's go on. Summary generalizations of algebraic relationship. Example, and this is supposed to be a y equal. Look on your paper. It's supposed to be equal sign right here because mine better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y is equal to 2x plus 1 as a function that expresses dependency relationship. Let's say I input a 0. Okay? Then that's going to be 2 times 0 plus 1.
What like that?
Yeah. 2 times 0 gives me 0, plus 1 gives me 1. What if I input a 1? Then it would be 2 times 1 plus 1. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 gives me 3.
And we keep on going.
And then
2.
2. Then we have 2 times 2 plus 1.
5.
It's going to give me 5. If you look, you have a pattern on both sides. This one goes by 1s. And this one goes by what? Two. Notice it says input, independent, and domain and X. They're all the same. Output, dependent, range, Y. All the same. The other thing they put over here that they should put is this is also alphabetic. Same exact thing. Are there any questions on how I filled in the table? Any questions at all how I filled in the table? Okay. Let's go to the next page. Bless you, by the way.
I tend to do that in bunches, so.
Let's go to the second one. I want to go to the second, because I know we can do this. The X variable. What is it called? Besides just X, we just talked about it. What is it called?
Pattern.
No. Try again. You can flip it back over. What is it called again?
Dependent.
Dependent, that's one of them.
Domain.
And domain.
I thought it was dependent.
I was going to correct you if I got it right. It says independent and domain go together. The set of permissible variables, values, and independent is called the domain. So we got to rewrite that again. So this is domain.
Domain.
Get my hand on that word.
It's bad when they can't recognize it. Isn't it?
I feel bad. What did they want me to put? What about the Y variable?
Dependent range.
Dependent, and it's also called output, isn't it?
Output, dependent.
So we'll say dependent.
And output.
Surely. Dependent, and the other one is going to be, we said output.
I would put range.
We're going to put range down there.
Output.
Output. So we probably need to change this domain up here to what? Input.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought you were talking about stuff.
Output is input.
Oh, you're right, thank you.
Good count.
You still messed up. Yeah.
Oh, I hit it, I just hit it hard.
Still better.
And then so over here, we're gonna put what, range? This is an insult to my handwriting.
I think the first one that got you because it's running into the word above it. I don't think it's you.
You think it's just,
See what I'm saying? The top of the D's running into the.
come on, let me see.
Run it off to the, in the blank and then move it up there. You go. It'll recognize that.
There we go. That's the other one?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, there we go. Now, the top part is the value of the relationship. Or equation. I know the first thing I said is when I talk, you don't.
Was that the relations?
The relational equation.
All right. Back straight.
Long.
Like that? There we go. There we go. All right. So we got independent, input, and domain. Then we got dependent, output, and range. All right. Okay, we're gonna do the example. We're gonna tell with the independent, and I think y'all got lines going through there. All right. Line right here.
Yes.
Line right here. All right. It says Lake Travis will rise 2 feet if it rains 15 inches in the water. Okay, what is the independent? I'll help you out. We have two choices. Got two choices. It's either going to rise or it's going to have 15 inches of rain. Which one depends on which? What's independent? It's rising or it's raining?
It's raining.
Raining. Now, if we get it wrong, we can always do what? Go back and do what?
Re-raise.
Switch it. All right, so you say if it rains. So we say rains 15, what, inches?
Yeah.
It's inches. And then the other one, then it would do what?
2 feet.
It'll rise, how many, 2 feet? I ain't even gonna try to make it recognize it. So if it rains 15 inches, it'll rise 2 feet. So in number wise, it would be 15. And what will go over here? 2. Rise is the best I seen rise. Kenny has an arm span of 64 inches and a height of 66 inches. Doesn't matter.
No.
No. So we'll say arm span. This is the one that didn't matter. And this one is what? Height? How tall he is. This is how tall he is.
He's 2 feet.
That's how his arm span. Look for the picture.
A little bit ahead.
Well,
Legs.
I know no legs, no
he
legs.
don't need no legs, we're just talking about his arm. So what are we gonna put here? We'll put 64 to what? What's the other one, 66?
Yeah.
What about this one? I know this is nickel sound right here. What's independent? What letter?
X.
X. What's dependent?
1, 4.
Okay, domain.
2.
Actually, it would be all real numbers. I'm gonna make that okay with you. Yeah, we'll put all real numbers. So right now, all real numbers, and we'll abbreviate. That just means any number. And this will put all real numbers. That just means any number. That's all it means. Anything else on that page? All right, going on. Now, notice it says at the top, the most important
one,
No,
dependent relation.
dependent. Dependent or the independent?
Independent.
Independent. What letter?
I,
X.
I was gonna probably put a little X next to it. So what was this one after?
Y.
Y.
And output.
Or output, okay? So, just in case you didn't know, you're gonna have to go through, if it asks you to explain something, you have to put it in
It's my
complete
word.
sentence, You're getting ready to practice here, so you practice. You have to put it in complete sentence, you just can't tell me, this is it.
How about that?
No.
What about the page behind you?
Yeah, it's all in the sentence. Yeah, as soon as I get through. Okay? Now, the good thing about this is you can get with a partner and you can work with it. You may get a calculator, you may get anything you need to make sure that you work. The best thing to do is make sure you go through so you can ask me questions.